Hello, citizens and UEMC miners. Rockseeker here with Stim, and we're having this interesting discussion where we left you on the last time. We quickly went over how Stim came to join the UEMC and some discussion about the rotation of planets, moons, and asteroids, and how to get to Grimex, and when I'm going to redo the yellow asteroid belt map, we're going to have to determine a different set of coordinates. Maybe, maybe the 0 should be at Grimex in that new system. So, and then everything will be relative to Grimex. Anyway, we'll see. But for this episode, the idea was to discuss a bit about the upcoming Game Changer, which should be out within a week or so, announced at the CitizenCon. So on this, what do you, Stim, think that the Game Changer could be?
Well, Rock, I'm super excited about this topic. We've been wondering what it could be for a long time, and there's been so many ideas thrown out there. Everything from total air superiority or space superiority ships to something that is more along a profession that's within Star Citizen, and even to space whaling ships to go out there and harvest space whale oil and turn that into luxury products. But I think, and recently it was Board Gamer that said on one of his live streams that the Game Changer, he can't say because he's under an NDA, but the Game Changer has been guessed by a lot of people out there in the community, and the most common guess and the most sort of generally accepted guess out there is that it's going to be some kind of construction, sort of space station or outpost construction ship / vocation, but we know it's a very large ship because that's what Ben Lesnick said on a Ben's Day with Batgirl. So it's a large ship. And one of the things that Board
civilian,
said...
if I may add, right? You mentioned it would be a civilian job, something we never seen before, never been really discussed before. So
that's right.
It cannot be any carrier that could be used military-wise or something. So a very large ship, it limits the number of possibilities, yes.
And that's also, why space superiority doesn't make any sense to me.
I saw something on Reddit also. There was this post about the 5 topics that we'll have during the discussion, or the, how do you call that in English? The
CitizenCon, the presentation.
The presentation, exactly. Yeah. And it's a lot about colonization and exploration and
private colonization is one of the topics that was raised in the 5 presentations that we're going to have. Now, it might not be a whole 1-hour presentation, but if we're talking about private colonization, and construction seems to be, that part of colonization that is, what makes colonization happen. Because we've had this discussion many times within the UEMC forums, just kind of going through and saying, well, what does colonization look like, and what does construction look like? And you wonder, is it a 10, 12-month voyage, traveling at quantum, going out to find some remote area that you're colonizing, or is it just simply moving, one system away or one jump away and finding a planet and going in there and working on that one area, or creating truck stops in space? So we're trying to figure out, is it something that's a long-term voyage, and is it something that's done in orbit like a truck stop, or is it something actually done on the surface of the planet? Because we know it's going to be a ship that is a vocation type ship. So it's not a single get there and establish a colony with that ship and that ship is used. It's something that's going to be building over and over again, and as a very large ship, you'll be able to build multiple stations and build multiple colonies.
Well, it has to be something that's going to be in space, because I know some people mention, maybe building outposts on surface, but then it would not be a very large ship. It would be a very large vehicle or very large something else. But as a very large ship, it has to somehow be an outpost that you're building or something. Or maybe it's going to be like the Crucible. The Crucible, I don't know if you recall, but it's a ship that can actually stack with other ships, other Crucible, to make like a scaffolding kind of
Yeah.
thing. So again, that's another possibility for that game changer constructions outpost builder ship. So because I agree with you that in the beginning though, that's not the way I thought it would be, but now really everything indicates that it's something to do with building of space station around planets. So
Yeah.
would it be to build truck stop? Obviously, NPC will be using those a lot, so they're building
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
universe.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not it's kind of like a Voltron of ships coming together and forming this very large ship, or whether it's a mothership that has things detached from it and descend down onto the planet to help build things around in the planet. It's hard to know exactly what's going to happen until we actually see it come out. But one of the discussions we were having was whether or not this ship could land on the planet, because the Idris could do it and the Reclaimer can land on the planet. But have you seen the size of those VTOL thrusters on the Idris and the Reclaimer? I mean, they're massive, right? And those are big ships. So for me, it's hard to imagine, I could be totally wrong here, but it's hard to imagine a ship that's bigger than those two ships actually landing on a planet and not destroying whatever it's landing on the surface.
But you just mentioned something which I haven't thought before, that big ship could actually carry some construction vehicle that you can go, so you arrive around a planet in this huge construction transport ship which unloads construction vehicle that go and land on the surface. Think of it a bit like these very long truck hauling, like cranes and hauling all sort of heavy machinery, right? So they're big haulers, so they carry those to the mines. Take an example of obviously mining, and then they unload those big crane there, because those crane on tracks won't by themselves do several hundreds kilometers to go get there. So they get carried along by this huge carrier.
You got it. And so that was one of the thoughts is, they were always talking about a pocket carrier, and we're talking about it, whether it's civilian or whether it's military application. What if it is sort of like this mothership or this large ship that carries around a bunch of Argo cargoes and Argo personnel transports, and that's just for moving down some materials, or other ships that are able to actually ferry material from orbit down to Earth, or put down extractors from mining situation, extractors and process facilities to, let's say, extract the minerals you need and then make the steel or whatever the future space metal and glass is that we have in order to construct on the planet. Because I mean, right now in the real world, we are looking at space mining in terms of asteroids primarily, but also on Mars, because the cost to get a payload from Earth through the orbit, through our gravitational barrier that we have up into escape velocity, which is orbit, that cost is huge. I mean, it's thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, per kilogram. And so to actually find those minerals up in space is so much cheaper. And look, I know it's a video game, but they're probably going to grab certain elements around that concept and try and figure out the economics of it so that it makes sense in the game and has that immersion for the players.
They're definitively trying to make it as realistic as possible. Obviously being futuristic, but still a realistic futuristic with some leeway in terms of traveling, because obviously you want to be able to travel
and timing
through those different systems, right? But aside from that, they're still trying to make it as realistic as possible. So,
well, it's that immersion gameplay realism balance.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe some of those, you mentioned Argos, that they could be carrying Argos to move stuff up and down. But what about potentially new vehicle like diggers and cranes and also of other construction vehicles?
Yeah,
In a
yeah, definitely.
futuristic way, like surface vehicles that would be, maybe some of them could be even packaged with the actual ship, which will
That's
be
quite right.
most likely very expensive, but that's another topic.
Well, it might be a whole ship, or it might be that the next few ships coming out. I mean, CIG said the next few ships coming out are going to be civilian ships. And sure, we've seen the X1 Racer, and we've seen the 600 Explorer and personnel ship, the touring ship. But CIG's been a little bit slow to get things out, and the rest of 2017, early 2018 is supposed to be civilian ships that might well go across all of the rest of 2017 and the rest of 2018. And so we could have a ship every 6 weeks, I think has been the current rollout. Every 6 to 8 weeks they've been putting out a ship.
You know what?
So
Maybe we could keep that for the next episode and discuss about what we see coming up in terms of new concept ships. So on this, we're gonna tell you guys bye for today, and see you very soon with another episode with mining and exploring with the UEMC with Rockseeker and Stim.
bye, guys.